All right, everybody. I want to talk to you about planting your garden and planting it according to how the sun rises and sets and the shadows that are cast on your garden at different periods of the day. Now, for me, my garden, when I laid it out, the sun was rising in that direction, and that was more towards the winter. That was about January, February when I started laying out where the garden was going to be. And it sets right behind me in the winter time. Now that here we are in the middle of summer, and yesterday was summer solstice, the sun comes up just over those trees over there on the horizon. Now, why is this important? It's important because you want to allow your garden to get as much sunlight as possible to grow your plants. Now, when I laid this garden out, I knew that I didn't want anything tall blocking the garden in the mornings or blocking my garden in the evenings, casting a shadow. Now, one of the biggest things I have to deal with right now is when we bought this property, it came with 14 pecan trees in the pecan orchard. And the tree right behind me here is one of those pecan trees. And just after 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it cast a shadow right over my garden. And if you see, I got my sunflowers here, and I planted those back there behind that flower bed so they get up and over the top of the bed really quick and catch the morning sun. The only downfall is sunflowers like a lot of sun. Well, they're not going to get a lot of sun in that position. And it wasn't my main objective to grow nice big sunflowers, but I knew I wanted some of the garden to attract the pest. So I just decided to put them over there, mainly because in the morning time, I'm not going to get any sun on this bed. I'm only going to get about 2 hours of sunlight along those beds, and then in the evening times, there's a shadow cast, so I'm not going to get very much sun over there either. So about 1 or 2 o'clock, the sun is going to start hitting these beds, and it's going to start casting a shadow. So here we are, about 3:30 in the afternoon, and you can see where the shadows are on my garden. It's a bit of a problem because it's a good portion of my garden that is covered with a shadow on the second half of the day. Now on this side of the garden, where I have my tall fence, since the sun comes up in that direction and sets right behind us over there in that direction, that wall doesn't cast a shadow on any part of my garden. So I'm not worried about what time of the day that tall fence is going to be blocking off the sun of my other vegetables. Now, one of the concerns I had is whenever I turned the corner and I had that back wall right there, that portion, I have those lima beans, and that does cast a bit of a shadow late in the evenings. But as you can tell, 3:30 in the afternoon, the carrots are still getting a good amount of sunlight. And later in the day, this bed will actually start casting a shadow on that raised bed. So the most amount of sun I'm going to get in my garden is probably that bed right there. Now this is important if you're growing daylight sensitive plants like onions. Onions only bulb whenever they have a certain amount of light on them. I planted my onions in this bed this year, and this gets a good portion of sun. Next year, I'm probably going to plant them in that bed because that gets the most sun. Now, my onions didn't bulb up as much as I'd liked my onions to have bulbed up. So next year, one of the new changes I'm going to make is I'm going to grow my onions in that bed because it gets more sunlight over there. So the onions should be able to react to that sunlight a lot better. So when you're laying out your garden, keep in mind where your shadows are in the morning time, midday, and late in the afternoon so you can plan accordingly. And also make sure your rows, like that right there I would call a row, that back fence, travels east to west. That way you don't have to worry about it casting a shadow over your other vegetables. All right, so I just wanted to cover that and let you guys know that you need to be mindful of where your sun's going to be. One, at the beginning of your growing season, middle of summer, and at the end of your growing season, so that you can lay out your garden bed appropriately. Okay, talk to you later.